Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II World at War with our Axis playthrough. In the last episode, we moved over into July 3rd, 1942, and did a couple of things here as Japan. Namely, landing on Midway and successfully destroying the American fighter group that was sitting on Midway with some help from the Kaga carrier. The Special Forces was able to land and get the job done. It will end up going and taking that as soon as possible, but as soon as possible is not going to be this turn. Additionally, we've made some movements over here around Thailand and Malaysia. Probably most, if not all, the movements, but most of the turn still lies at our feet. So, summer of 1942, and our biggest goal still eludes us. Being that it's on our side of the river, Moscow is ironically going to be one of the easiest targets here for us to take. The big thing being that it is more entrenched than things surrounding it. We have two armies already pressed up against it, ready to go, and the sooner we take it, the sooner we inflict probably a huge national morale penalty, which then weakens all their forces, as we then have to drive eastwards towards their one or two alternate capitals that they have. So let's take the Africa Field Artillery and let's go ahead and just hit Moscow specifically with it. Oh, okay, we did some damage. Nice. Didn't think we'd actually do damage. I was just trying to reduce entrenchment, which I have. Was that like 5 or 6 entrenchment or so? It's down to 2 now. It's a big difference. Before we couldn't attack and do any damage at all. We were just going to take 1 damage. Now we can do damage. We're going to take damage apparently, but we can do damage. I doubt we'll have the capacity to actually step on Moscow this turn. There's an army here, there's an army here. So even if we were able to kill the 14th Army, these zones of control overlapping would make this a little difficult to do. This is still going to take a couple turns, but at least the more we kill now, the better in the long run. We do have a lot of injured aircraft, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to reinforce a lot of these fighters back up to 10. These fighters back up to 10. I have backup fighters on both of these sides for a reason. Additionally, these tactical bombers are going to recover back up to their max. And I'm even going to go as far as getting some elite reinforcements for these bombers right here, because it works with my plans that are in motion right now. Namely, I'm going to focus bombing on where the enemies are weakest to just continue chipping away at them as we prepare for like a massive final blow. Let's take the Africa tactical bombers and, well, actually no, I'll start with the SG-2s because they could do some damage. Bomb Ryazan, the enemy USSR core on top of there, dealing 1 damage and taking none. They didn't fly any fighter coverage this turn. It was very interesting. We'll go ahead and bomb them a second time with the Africa Tactical Bombers, dealing another 1 damage and taking none. Perfect. That means no recovery needed. Also no XP gained, so it means no upgrades potentially needed. We have a core sitting right here ready to attack. There's also this other enemy core that's kind of wandered up next to us, so I have my eye on that as well. Let's start with the core that's on their side of the river already. Let's try to deal some damage. We dealt 5 damage and actually gained some experience, so that works out pretty well. Now we're mostly just going to need to find out the most effective way to kill this unit. Something being on this side of the river realistically would be the best situation. We're going to reinforce this army rather than march an injured army forward. Looks like, generally speaking, just about anybody that wants to can maybe make it across this river. So let's go ahead and move back across the river here. If we move this core, yeah, it's probably the best one. Move this core forward, we can attack with a blitz attack, dealing all remaining 3 damage and taking no damage, and leaving Ryazan open for the taking. I'll take the first core, and we're going to attack this enemy core that's wandered up from the right, dealing 4 damage, taking 1 damage, unfortunately. I'm going to go ahead, let me go to the supply around here, actually. It's not going to be too great over there, as things stand. There's not many things over here I'd even want to move anytime too soon. So let's just go ahead and move up a little bit and then attack with this core, the Slovakian core, dealing 5 damage, and the enemy goes to run away. We'll send the first core forward a touch, get a look at what is over here in the surroundings. Yeah, I guess it'd be too easy to just be able to fighter strafe them out of existence, huh? Alright, so what I'll do is I'll move this back here. There's probably going to be some recovery that's going to happen next turn anyway. I was going to upgrade this, but here's what I'm going to do instead. We're going to move the Africa Corps tanks forward to secure this town. And now supply will be able to spread a little bit easier, a little bit better down the road here. We're going to move these tanks forward and finish off this enemy core, dealing 1 damage and somehow taking 1 damage. I have no idea how the hell that was possible, but we're going to... Ooh, I can optimize a little bit better. Okay. Well, then we're going to move this back, and we're going to move this over here so that these two can recover next turn. This one was already going to take a turn to get some elite reinforcements anyway, but we'll move up to the road. We've gone ahead and wiped out another enemy core. A kill is a kill, right? Let's get some elite reinforcements placed on this 4th army right here. Next, we're going to go ahead and place this core across the river to secure a position for ourselves. We're going to move up with the 8th army and thus press it up against the enemy rifle corps there. We're going to go ahead and, I guess, do an assault. It's probably reasonable to do at the moment. We're going to take these armies on the front who don't really have the best supply, even still, right here specifically, even with an HQ over here on Kaluga. Just isn't enough supply right here. Probably because these towns don't produce enough, but we could always cycle units in and out if necessary. What matters most is the absolute destruction of certain enemies. Let's go ahead and attack, dealing 4 damage, taking 1. We've dealt more damage than we were supposed to, so I'll definitely take that as a victory. We'll then attack the next army, the 10th army, dealing 3 damage and taking 1. Okay, that worked out pretty well. If I swap out of here, there is theoretically a pretty good chance that I can kill this enemy unit. Potentially. We'd have to swap, because it's unit placement. Let's see. If I swap the paratroopers in... Oh yeah, we can kill the army on Moscow. And just like that, the army on Moscow is dead, paratroopers lost no one, and the recon has so much mobility that I can move onto Moscow right now and take it. Alright, well fuck what I said earlier. We just took Moscow, motherfucker. There's technically a Moscow 2, but taking Moscow is really the biggest thing here. This is probably their biggest source of supply. Well, Moscow 2 has a lot of supply as well, but still, we've cut them pretty well, pretty nice. We could see they didn't really have a lot remaining anyway. Their front line was strong, but we were cutting through it so much. Everything in the back here is like anti-air and some cores. This one looks upgraded potentially. Another thing we can do is take advantage of these engineers being here. Engineers are pretty weak. They can maybe bite you while you take them down, but you can still take them down. So let's attack with our army. We dealt 4 damage, took 1. A little underperforming, but let's go ahead and attack also with these paratroopers across the river, dealing 4 damage and taking 1. Now this enemy is mostly dead. Moving a core up would probably be the rest of what we need. Supply over here is okay. How's it going to be over here? Like a 4? Oh, that's still something. Let's move over here. Extend our zone of control. And then these cores are basically freed up now. Let's move this core because it's healthy. Let's go ahead and attack the enemy here. Dealing 2 damage. Now, that is a dead enemy. Nobody can move up into those fortifications, however. The tanks can get up pretty close, but not maybe close enough to be particularly useful. So I'll just move them up where they can get to for right now, because these areas are fine enough. They will have enough supply to get supplied, getting ready to push forward, because either now, like, their capital's going to collapse, right? They're probably going to move it over here to Kubyshev, where I have completely cut them off in the south now along this road towards Penza, Kubyshev. They're going to have to operate everybody out of here along the rails. And if someone's not on the rails, they're probably fucked. Or they're going to have to sit here and fight to the death, which now means my Western Front is able to just push against them if they don't run. And the Southern Front is pretty much able to do whatever it wants, especially with its tanks and its cores that are in the front. We're going to be able to push towards Kubyshev pretty soon. And then their alternate final capital, Perm, is over here as well. I'm sure we'll have to fight the rest of these, but that is really the hardest thing done. At this point, I'm going to take the Africa Corps, who's never going to get enough supply up here, move them down somewhere where they can recover, and they're also mobility upgraded too. Take the anti-tank and go park it on this town as a defense unit, because it would be good for that. We're going to force march the 30th Corps this way. Any cores at this point that aren't needed along the front line, as well as like paratroopers and things like that, they can start shifting south, because the armies are what's going to press against the enemies, and the cores are just going to need to maneuver to maybe outflank and rush Kubyshev before the USSR can actually get any massive amount of troops over here. I was at one point earlier in this recording considering doing a tank push this way, assuming most of this stuff here is undefended, and like supply cutting this stuff, but they're just so insistent as AI to leave this defended I don't know if they'll actually move it even if I threaten their next capital. I threatened Moscow. They left like everything here. In fact, they sent more tanks here. So the AI's own sense of need to protect this stuff is exactly why I'm fine with leaving it there. That is the main front against Moscow taken care of. I'm absolutely amazed and so happy with the progress that we've made here this turn. That is really, really promising for my statements last year that maybe by the end of 42 we could achieve full victory, because USSR surrender is the last thing before full victory. Who knows? If we're lucky, they'll surrender now, but I honestly doubt they will. So, looking over by the Sea of Azov in the Black Sea, we have Sevastopol, which still hasn't fallen, but looks like it won't be reinforcing. They haven't been reinforcing it, probably because they're focused around Moscow. What good that did them. I guess they can't keep up with the sheer amount of MPPs they're competing with. I remember when I played, I was UK just dumping money into the USSR. I don't know what the UK is doing this time, but it's not being smart. Let's go ahead and attack with the 1st Romanian army against Sevastopol. 4 damage dealt, none taken. Attacking them with the 2nd army, and there you go. Sevastopol is ours. And, oh look, there's all their ships. There's all their ships. 2 light cruisers that have no way out of here. Especially, I think, because Turkey joined me. They might be able to come through here like, no. Not with this port. They can't possibly get through here. The port would block them off. They're stuck there. These are stuck. They may still own the ports, but my army can actually just sit here and deal damage to them. Like an insane amount of damage. So Moscow just fell. Sevastopol just fell. We're going to move the 1st army up here where it'll be in range of this HQ a little bit better. Probably leave the HQ there still for right now. We don't need to move it up. We have some Hungarian armies that need to reinforce themselves. That's a pretty high priority. Stalingrad's important. Anything to lower their morale is important. I think it's like a % chance to surrender for a lot of nations, not just moving to alternate capitals. And honestly, I think some nations can survive the alternate capitals. Might just be special ones, because I think the UK can survive in Belize. But I'm not sure if that's special or not. Anyway. We have a large force starting to gather around Stalingrad, not really close enough at the moment to really do anything very large. We have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Theoretically, we could make it there this turn. And so we could have my HQ here and just surround it with cores. Now, if we can get this core out of the way, that'd be great. Let's go ahead and try to attack with the 6th Yugoslavian core. 1 damage dealt, none taken. It could be better. Try the 1st Hungarian core. 1 damage dealt, none taken. Could be better. Still. Let's see what else we can do. What's supply going to be like around here? Pretty decent, honestly. Really not that bad. I want to try to just encircle this a little bit. Let's go ahead and move these units around. Try to make some openings for other units in the rear. We have a Romanian core here that can go ahead and... Oh, no, it can't. I was going to say elite reinforcements, but it's not in supply for that. It's pretty far from the Romanian HQ as well. We'll probably use the Romanians for this, yeah. Let's go ahead and move that forward. We'll move the tanks forward as well. Attack first with the 5th Corps, dealing 1 damage. Taking 1, unfortunately, finally. Let's try to push them out with the tanks now. Dealing 2 damage, taking 1. Is this a good trade? Maybe not. Dealing 3 damage, taking 1. Yeah, I mean, the results are not really in our favor for what the game was predicting that we should be able to do. Supply on the front here is really bad, man. Like, it's really, really bad. Let's move this core across the river. Attack again. 2 damage dealt and 1 taken. Yeah, our blitz attacks could be better. Move the Bitaliska core forward and we can finally finish this off. That was a pretty costly enemy core to destroy, but we did take it. And now we can move the HQ of the Yugoslavians forward. And how will this affect supply? It will become amazing next turn along this front. Supply is going to improve so much here that even across this river, it's going to be good. So let's go ahead and move the Dravska Corps across the river. Move the 1st Army up to Stalingrad. There's going to be a lot of need for reinforcing around here due to the rushed nature in which I did this and etc. But still, we're pushed right up to Stalingrad. Assuming next turn is mostly for reinforcement, we'll still be able to theoretically take that. In 2 turns, Stalingrad should fall if the USSR doesn't already fall. That should probably infect their morale pretty well. they're already losing things that, historically they never lost, so that's only good for us. Additionally, the first Hungarian tanks are fully upgraded, 36 MPPs to operate them. I will operate them. This will skip a turn or two, two turns of traveling, and leave them at high readiness and morale, and basically right next to Stalingrad, so I'm willing to pay that price. The Italian HQ here, the messy HQ, can continue moving. We're just going to keep moving that down the ways, because Italy never has enough MPPs for anything, and due to my Diplo-heavy approach to dominating Europe, we used a lot of Italian MPPs earlier as well. Maybe like 300. Maybe that's not as bad as I'm making it sound. That could have been used for other things. Let's go ahead and get elite reinforcements on the U-32 sub here. We're gonna have to start looking at sub things, huh? There's a number of subs sitting in port. The Axum sub can definitely reinforce back up to full. U-35, I'm gonna give elite reinforcements to. Give the U-371, it's gonna go ahead and reinforce that one. There's this one that's fully recovered, the U-73. And we know where we want that. We want that to head up here, because nobody's been raiding this. And even though we're absolutely demolishing these guys, it's not like we couldn't do any better. We have decent supply over here. We're going to move down here, though, because we can get some upgrades. We're going to just not rush our movements, because we know we won't automatically start raiding anyway. We know that there's a timer. If we rush, we have to wait a turn. So we might as well just move at a normal pace. Moving that sub back up there. Let's move this one into port. These AA upgrades are available for pretty much everyone. They're just all over the place. Everyone can get them, and the game is having fun reminding me. Now, I don't think we ever saw the Russian sub try to leave here. I don't believe we did, so let's go looking. We found it. Hey, Cal. So let's pull out our Flieger Core X maritime bombers. And we've dealt 2 more damage to it. There you go. I wish we could do more, but I guess we just need more ASW. The destroyer would only do like 1 damage and risk taking some as well. So I might just clog this up again and dare it to try to come through. Might be what I do. Or, move this destroyer forward as well, so it has potentially even more things now that it has to try to run through. The Finnish are mostly just going to sit here as well, because while they could be useful in an assault, they're too far away, and they're mostly just being useful by distracting this many enemies while giving me money that I don't even need to have a convoy route for some reason. We'll move this destroyer back. We'll just dare it to come back through to us for right now. That is what we'll do. This flotilla motor torpedo boat will just head up, I guess right around here, right? Because then theoretically, if a sub tries to come through here, you'd be spotted by this, and it would be perfectly ready to try to take you on. Over here is not nearly as good of a position to wait. I don't know if there's a chance to go undetected as there would be in real life. I don't think that there is. U-47's in silent mode because it was chased off. We want to get it somewhere it could be super productive. So somewhere maybe, we haven't gone this far out in a while, so there shouldn't be anyone really lingering out here. But if we head down to right about here, we should have a good raiding point on the USA-UK line. We have done some raiding as this one, which does need upgrades, so I'm not really sure if there's anyone nearby. I'll go ahead and try to move a little bit out of the way. We might raid USA-UK, we might raid Canada-UK. Either way, it should do something pretty productive. The Leonardo da Vinci sub needs a good port to be able to recover in. I believe this one got hurt by some enemy bombers or something, if I remember correctly. Meaning we need to get some anti-air out, and I believe that I put some anti-air in the works. Yeah, I was gonna put it here though, is the thing. Here could work as well, but I don't know, we'll see. We'll take the Leonardo da Vinci, we'll go send him over to, I guess Cherbourg. I was gonna say no and just send it over here, but that's fine. Because there's other guys that could benefit from being over there, such as the U-81, which has 3 supply, needs to reinforce, and even get some upgrades. The U-377 is very low supply as well, but there's no other ports now that they really fucked with Saint Nazaire. So, let's move up here. and then move up there, and we run into a enemy American destroyer, annoyingly. They'll probably like dogpile this one, but if they dogpile this one, they won't dogpile the more important ones, which I'm fine with. U-30 here could use some elite reinforcements at best, but that's not really an issue. So let's move up a little bit and then move up to about here, so we're still raiding, while trying to get moving over here potentially for some better prospects, but even then our supply is starting to trickle away as this one, so I'm mainly just sticking to raiding in general. If anyone here should get anti-air, it is definitely the coastal guns. In a situation where we don't have AA guns or fighters here, this would definitely make these things more resilient, meaning the subs might just get targeted more, but we'll see. I do have AA on the way, at least. Oh, I totally forgot maritime bombers get 2 strikes at this upgrade level. Let's go ahead and attack the sub again. 4 damage dealt in total now that we've done another 2. Cool. And then I think that's basically everything that I needed to do is Germany, so anything else from this point on is just spending points. Let's look at research. We can only put another 150 into research. Seems pretty logical to throw anti-air defense back in there. That's 110. Our research is capped out again, and now we have to do other things. We already have 1 AA producing. Another might be good, even though really we might not need it. If Russia's about to fall in a couple turns, you know, there's not a whole lot left to do. But 2 AA on an anti-air is only 110 with our capabilities, so let's go ahead and just get that. Purchase, and that's good. That's fine. A couple other nations could make more land forces, but we already have some land forces ready to go. If we look here, we got these anti-tanks. 240 MPPs remaining. Let's give them all the AA and AT advances we can. Not mobility, because that's just, again, really, really expensive. This stuff is affordable, and we'll be able to, after this upgrade goes through, they're all on railroads. They can all be deployed to the front somewhere, either as a defensive fixture to be able to move these cores out to places where they'd be more useful, or to the front as some kind of offensive fixture or defensive fixture to leave in the wake of this massive force that will be moving on any subsequent enemy capitals. And with that, we have 120 MPPs remaining as Germany. We know that we are going to be pushing up at least, so let's just go ahead with Germany and get some more garrisons. Do we need them? Not exactly, but they're really cheap. We haven't purchased any in a while. We still have a bunch just left over, but I don't mind sprinkling them across my mainland while waiting to send them somewhere more useful, to be honest. Just take, yeah, we have 75 more. We'll make 2 more garrisons as Germany. They have 30 MPPs left. Diplomacy at this point doesn't really matter. It's all down to units with our plan. So as we move up, we'll always have garrisons to leave behind, of which there's like half a dozen or more we're going to have to start filling up on this front. So they'll definitely see some use. They probably won't see any use, but we can also go ahead and put ASW on this battle cruiser, just to be safe, just because we can. So I will go ahead and do that. Our medium bombers can go ahead and bomb the enemy court Alexandria to try to make this a little bit easier for us now that we're looking at Italy, I guess. We've taken damage to our elite reinforcement, unfortunately, but yeah, that's definitely gotten easier. We are surrounding this with some armies. Let's go ahead and attack with the first army. Dealing 3 damage, taking none, despite not having any upgrades or anything. We probably finish this off with something that isn't an army. So let's go ahead and attack with the... Oh, this is an army? Holy crap. Let's attack with these tanks. So, oh, hilariously, that was not enough. Okay, fine. Let's attack with the 5th army. 1 damage dealt. National morale bonus. No damage taken. Enemies essentially defeated. Let's reinforce this injured 10th army here. And what the hell do I even do with this garrison? It was intended for Cairo, Egyptian Legion garrison. Yeah, just place it on Cairo. It means we'll have other garrisons and things available for other things. And now our main focus becomes pushing on Jerusalem. Meaning we'll end up wanting to move these HQs forward for sure. What a supply over here. It could be better. Most supplies coming from right here, probably. Actually, supply from Cairo takes priority over here. Let's move the Gazoni HQ. Actually, maybe thinking about it, onto Cairo makes more sense right now. Garrison, you go wait there. HQ on Cairo. Supply definitely increases here. We haven't captured Siwa Oasis yet, so that will remain a bit of a threat, I suppose, but it's at a point where I don't know if something operating out of here can effectively wage war. Supply from here can't be that great. 5 with some fall off can't effectively wage war over here. If they knew this was undefended, their best idea would be to just go here and try to claim these, but either or just get out of here, right? We know there's still something around here that we have to worry about. We're not really too sure on what it is. There's a hill here. We haven't used this core. I'm going to go ahead and add some elite reinforcements to this core. We'll move the bombers up as far as we can get it. Probably end up moving the fighters forward, just not sure how much right now. These units have had their turns. We're going to go ahead and just move them forward. Move the fighters up for now, just beside the bombers. This garrison, I'll probably move up and leave this core in the rear for now. The garrison could stay in the rear because I don't expect anything up here to make a northward push. We'll just give it the full array of infantry weapons that it could need to defend against something moving up like this. Instead, this core is going to move up as far as it can get without this kind of movement, kind of serving as a southern guard for right now, as we begin to get ready to upgrade our units around Cairo and ship them to capture Jerusalem, if that ever actually becomes necessary. Looking at our Turkish units, the Second Army can get across the border here just barely. The way that we do this is still fucking so inefficient. I'm gonna force march the First Turkish Army up. We're gonna force march, this Turkish Army up to here. Move the HQ forward to spread supply a little better. Put the Iraqi garrison back on its capital that it needs to protect. This Turkish corps is just going to sit here for now. Again, I don't think the Turks will ever arrive anywhere that they're needed in any good time, and I still don't care to really move them too far ahead of their HQ. So these ones really debatable what they are actually going to be needed for. Supply here isn't too great yet. We'll just move these fighters up to here for right now. This corps can force march its way forward, but where would it really be heading is a good question. Where would it be heading? What would it actually be needed for? The Turks could probably man this as a front pretty well. They're a pretty decent sized force. There's not a lot over here that's worth anything, but it just kind of is another route leading up here. And this area is going to be filled with Romanians, Hungarians, and Yugoslavians now that Sevastopol has fallen especially. In fact, let's just start moving the Romanian HQ forward from town to town as we end up making some progress here, just to keep things moving along, because I believe these 3 factions can pretty much take this as a corridor. This is a very tiny corridor, and a lot of the Germans are going to be next to them soon anyway, So let's just take the 5th Corps, and then you know what? I can get this corps up here and then move the Yugoslavian back up to the other Yugoslavians while we wait for the rest of the Turks to catch up. So force march your way up there. You're going to end up replacing this guy, who's pretty well off and definitely should rejoin his friends in a more primary push. I'd probably be taking this way more seriously if I didn't think we were already on the verge of victory, but my planning is becoming very short term since I know that the war goals should be popping. I'll move the Abyssinia Corps down here. We'll move this HQ forward. How is that going to affect supply next turn? It's going to be generally a lot better in this area, but still not perfect. I'm thinking we just go ahead and, I want to get this corps here. Let's go ahead and move this garrison. Move that there. Garrison can just chill out for right now. These guys are going to form the main front. And there's probably still a couple things to do, but we have a nice full episode, so I'm going to call this one here. I wonder how many episodes we realistically are, or turns even, away from the victory. Because at best, 1-2 more places to capture from the USSR, they surrender, and we get that Allied surrender event. I'm definitely very excited. This has been a very fulfilling, learning playthrough. Hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. For now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.